So in my previous video I talked about medium-sized folding knives, and it turned out that Spyderco has a lot of knives in that category that have a short cutting edge and a long handle. So these three knives are basically identical in size. As you can see, so cutting edge length and handle length is the same on all three of these, meaning they are very comparable to each other. So this video is about the PM2, Stretch 2 and Manix 2 lightweight comparison. There is obviously going to be a PM2 lightweight now as well, which I don't have, but I don't think it's going to make an ergonomic difference enough to be relevant really. The only thing really relevant with the PM2 lightweight is going to be the price and the steel. So this is also something I'm not going to talk about, is the steel, but it should be noticed that the PM2 and Manix can be had in a lot more different steels, and the Stretch 2 is only available in K390, which is a fantastic steel, but it's not stainless. So that's a consideration right there. Let's talk about the cutting edge profile first, and then we're going to talk about the other differences. Cutting edge profile is basically if you hold the cutting edges next to each other, you can see we have a lot of straight edge in both of these, but then the big difference is that the Stretch has more belly in the front and the PM2 is a little bit flatter towards the tip, which means with the PM2, if you cut on a surface, you can cut with the tip still, and you're mainly going to cut with the straight portion right here. Whereas with the Stretch, you will not be able to cut with the tip as efficiently on a surface. You will probably use the belly right here. So the belly is everything that's the Stretch is all about. The belly is the big difference here. So otherwise, if you want to cut with the tip, you have to raise your handle really far up, which is uncomfortable. So you're gonna cut with the tip more often, with the belly more often than with the tip. The Manix is also a knife that is more tip focused, I would say, and more front portion focused. So it's quite a lot similar to the PM2, maybe even a little bit more flatter. So this has even less belly than the PM2, meaning you can cut very well in a straight portion. Like if you do a straight draw cut, this is very good for that. You don't have to raise the handle also very far from a cutting surface. So if you cut on boards, for instance, a lot, I think the Manix is the best, and then the PM2 and then the Stretch. If you're opening packages a lot, I think the Manix and the PM2 are also better than the Stretch, because you're gonna cut with the belly here, and here you have more control because you're gonna cut with the tip and the front section. So that's a good difference here. When it comes to wood cutting and other harder materials, I think the Stretch is gonna be better though, because you have more belly and therefore you can finish the cut a little bit more efficiently, right? So if my finger would be a piece of wood, you can end the cut right here, whereas in this blade shape you have a tendency to slip out of the cut. But still, the PM2 has still more belly than the Manix, so in terms of like harder materials, wood cutting, I think I would go like this. And yeah, cardboard cutting and everything else, maybe these are even at the same level, I guess. So yeah, let's talk about ergonomics next. Oh wait, I forgot something in the blade shape. The one thing that's also very different with these blade shapes is that these are straight spine models, so you can transfer a lot of energy if you push on the spine back here down the tip. So if you want to control the tip from back here, I think this is also really good, because you can push into that ramp right here. I think this blade shape is also really nice to open up zip ties, so you get in that little spot. That fine tip is also very good for that. The Manix is not going to be as easy controllable like that, but because it's a leaf shape, it's very good in like drilling motions and stuff like that, because it has a centerline point. But yeah, for opening zip ties, detail work, I prefer these blade shapes, because the way they are a little bit narrower in the front right here, as you can see. The leaf shape flares out quite a bit more. So yeah, nice blade shapes here. The Stretch is a little bit thinner than the PM2 also, so it's gonna pass through material a little bit easier. So this blade is gonna outcut this blade because of the way it's shaped, right? And the geometry, thickness and everything. So yeah, the next thing is the ergonomics. So ergonomic wise, the Stretch is obviously going to be the best because it's the most contoured, and also it has a backlock which kind of helps it. The PM2 is gonna be the worst because it's gonna be very uncomfortable with that compression lock to do the harder cutting. So in terms of ergonomics, I think this is the worst. The Manix is okay, it's still not as contoured as the Stretch, but yeah, it's still an okay in terms of ergonomics. I think the Manix is doing quite well because of the width that it has. So if you like wider handles, I think the Manix is gonna be the best, and if you like narrower handles, the PM2 is gonna be the best, and the Stretch is gonna be right in between in terms of the width. So if you have like really big hands, I think the Manix is gonna feel probably the best, right? And then the Stretch, even though it should be mentioned that the Stretch does not force you in a position, the Manix forces you in a position with the choil here in the front. So yeah, this is gonna be a more locked in feeling, and this is gonna be a little bit more neutral. So yeah, I would say ergonomic wise, the Stretch is definitely the best. Now in terms of locking system, the back lock is gonna be the slowest to open and close, which can be good or bad depending how you like it, I guess. I do like lockbacks quite a bit, but they're not as fidgety. So if you have a lot of downtime at your workplace and you like to fidget with your knives, I think the other ones are a lot better. And I would say the PM2 is gonna be the most fidgety locking system. It just makes the most fun. Yeah, it's just the most fun from all of these locking systems. Opening and closing it, it's a fun locking system to play with. However, I'm gonna say it's not gonna be as nice for left-handed people, right? Because it's a more right-handed orientated locking system. The other ones are more ambidextrous. However, if you're in the knife game long enough and you're a left-handed person, you probably will be very familiar with using a compression lock by now. The ball lock is a very strong, simple locking system. It has a coil spring, so it's very reliable. And it's also going to be fidgety and ambidextrous, so that's a great thing, especially if you like that axis style locking system, but you want more reliability and a detent that's stronger, because these blades are all not going to fall out of the handle unlike Benchmates do. Then the Manix is a great choice also. So yeah, in terms of weight, the lightest knife right here is the Manix 2 with 83 grams, which is 2.9 ounces. The Stretch is gonna have 104 grams, which is 3.6 ounces. And this is gonna have 112 grams, which is 3.9 ounces. So this is gonna be the lightest. However, I will say, because it's so wide, it does not carry as well, I think, as a Stretch, even though it's a little bit lighter in pocket. So carrying wise, I actually like these two better because of their shape. But in terms of weight, the Manix lightweight wins. At least the lightweight. I'm not sure about the G10 version. It's probably going to be a little bit heavier. Construction wise, it should be noticed that some of the older lightweights cannot be fully disassembled. Only the pivot can be adjusted and taken out. But yeah, these can be disassembled, and the newer lightweights can also be disassembled now. But yeah, these older ones still bolted together, I guess, or pinned together, I should say, not bolted, but yeah, pinned together. One thing about the construction, the Manix lightweight and regular uses T8 body screws now, same as the PM2, and the Stretch still has the Sekisiri T6 body screw construction, which is not as great, I think, in terms of long lastingness and reliability. And the Stretch models often have a little bit of blade play in the pivot, whereas these are completely solid and have no blade play whatsoever. So having an off-centered blade is going to be more likely with a Stretch model, and also going to have more blade play. And these are going to be working more centered and more robustly longer. So I think if you're looking for a knife that you're going to carry for a longer period of time, like years and years to come, I would pick one, either the Manix or the PM2, but I wouldn't pick the Stretch, because these Sekisiri models are going to be annoying over time in terms of blade play and everything. Depending on the model, not every model has that issue, but especially in the Stretch you can find that blade play thing quite a bit. Yeah, let's look at some alternatives, I guess, from all of these models. So a good PM2 alternative is already the stretch because it's going to be a more ergonomic, better cutting PM2. But if you want to stay with the compression lock, the para-free and the military 2 is going to be an option. I don't have a military 2, I only have the military 1, and I would also prefer the military 1 if I were you, because it's going to be more ergonomic, because it doesn't have that hotspot that the compression lock gives you. So if you want a more ergonomic PM2, get a military 1, I would say. I wouldn't get a para-free instead of the PM2. I don't think it's a good alternative. To be honest, I don't like the para-free that much. I would much rather go with a Sage. So if you like the compression lock, that Sage also has that, and it has a leaf-shaped blade. It's not going to be a whole lot smaller, and it's going to carry a little bit better. So yeah, I think these are the options for the alternatives to a PM2. The alternatives for Manix are also going to be very similar. It's going to be a native, which I don't have, and again a Sage. And if you want to go smaller, the Chaparral. All of these have the leaf-shaped blade. I think if you're looking for ergonomics but similar, I would get a native because it has about the same cutting edge length than a Manix, and it's going to be very ergonomic. If you like that fidgetability of the compression lock, the Sage is going to be an option. And if you want to go even smaller, the Chaparral also does not have that much lower edge length, I guess. So in terms of edge length, these are not that bad, but they're easier to carry. But you're going to sacrifice handle space, obviously. And the Chaparral is not going to be as fun to play with because it has a very thin construction and a backlog system. So yeah, that should be part of the consideration. But I think the biggest competitor to the Manix is going to be the native. And obviously there's going to be a Manix 2XL, which is a bigger version. But I think Spyderco has better options in the large size range than the Manix 2XL, to be honest. But yeah, the native is going to be the biggest competitor to this one. And now the competitors for the Stretch 2 are going to be the Andella, which I don't have. And similar to the Andella, the Endura, which the Andella and the Endura have the same handle shape, but the Andella is going to be the same size than the Stretch. I personally like the Endura more than the Andella because it offers me more cutting edge for less weight. So the Endura, in my opinion, carries better than the Stretch, has more cutting edge, and I like the slimmer handles a little bit better than the wider ones. But that's obviously, you know, that depends obviously on the user. And yeah, you can get serrated or plain edge with the Endura also. So yeah, the Endura is a big competitor to the Stretch. It doesn't have the belly in the front here. It has a little bit of a different shape. That's also something you need to consider. But yeah, when it comes to these three again, which knife would I pick? Well, like I said, in construction wise, if I would be, if I really would care about that, how the knife feels, and I want it for a really long time, for years and years to come, I would pick a PM2 or a Manix because they're constructed better. For a pure work knife, a knife that I'm going to use hard and needs to be comfortable, the Stretch is going to be the best. In terms of like a job where you cut a lot of boxes and you have to open and close your knives quickly and often, the PM2 and the Manix are gonna be a little bit better. I guess it comes down whether you like the width of the Manix or the slimness of the PM2. The Manix, I guess, is a good in-between knife because it is comfortable. It's more comfortable than the PM2, but it still is very, very fidgety. So yeah, the Manix has a lot of things going for it. I always think that you have a very little cutting edge though in the Manix. That's to me it's very noticeable, but that's the case with all of these, I guess. But yeah, for how wide it is, it doesn't have a lot of cutting edge. So again, the native is a good competitor to the Manix, I guess. But yeah, hopefully that video helped you, at least a little bit. I'm not even sure which one I like the most. I guess it depends all on what I'm doing. Visually speaking, I like the Manix the most because it looks like really cool in terms of visual appearance. So that's also something that you can take into consideration or not. But performance-wise, I like the stretch more. And I do have the PM2 for such a long time that it has sentimental value to me. So never gonna get rid of the PM2 also. So it's a tough decision. But I would base it on primarily on what I would be using the knives for, and yeah, the circumstances, I guess. So that's it for this video. Thank you guys for watching, and maybe see each other in another video. Goodbye.